translator from the United States. He is the author of 3 collections, Love Poem with Pomegranate, Still Life with City, and Unburial. His work appears in many journals and anthologies, including Bad Lilies, Palette Poetry, and Rattle. De Lasts Forever, the selected poems of Mario dell'Arco, translated from the Romanesco dialect, will be published by World Poetry Books in 2024. Currently a reader for the Baltimore Review, he lives in Perugia, Italy. Kitchen timer? I don't know what
minutes.
Just press the going up.
10 as well.
12.
Well,
Get started.
I do not know how I'm going to follow Barbara. In any case, I just want to get straight to it. I told you a little bit about myself. I come from the United States. I was born in Baltimore. I live in Italy. I've been there for about 20 years. And I want to get straight to talking a little bit about Mario dell'Arco, who I've translated from the Romanesco dialect, which is the dialect of our father. That's my sister Monica sitting over there filming. And our father was born and raised in Rome in the 1940s. And that was his mother tongue, Romanesco, which is the language people speak in Rome today if you go there. And they have a kind of different way of speaking, and that's Romanesco. And so Mario dell'Arco was one of the great exponents of Romanesco poetry in the latter half of the 20th century. And here's a little bit of information about him. So Mario dell'Arco was the pen name of Mario Fagiolo, which means bean. He was born in Rome in 1905 and died in 1996. He was the most significant Romanesco poet of the latter half of the 20th century, after a poet named Klisz, which some of you may know. Romanesco is a dialect of Italian spoken by the people of Rome, and it has a rich poetic tradition, stretching back to the mid and early 19th century. He was an architect by profession, but dell'Arco abandoned architecture for poetry after World War II. He published nearly 60 books and chapbooks of poetry in his career, which spanned 6 decades. His work is marked by its bittersweet, almost jaded stance, a hallmark of the Roman attitude towards life and death. I began translating his poems about 20 years ago while living in Rome, and I'm proud to say that Day Lasts Forever, his selected poems, the first English translation of this poet's work, will be published by World Poetry Books on November 12th. It's been a long road, so order your copy today. Anyway, here's a hint of what his poetry sounds like in the original, as read by a non-native Romanesco speaker. So I'll read one poem in the original and I'll read the others in English. Accidia. Chi più di me? Mi sdraio in mezzo al prato, tra papaveri, bocche del leone, e mi sento il padrone del creato. Ma il cielo è troppo liquido. Pesco la Macedonia nel pacchetto e nasce una nuvola. Così, domani, piove e ne sto letto. Sloth. This is the same poem in English. Who more than me? Lying on the grass, surrounded by poppies and snapdragons, I feel myself the lord of all creation. The sky is too limpid, though. So I fish a smoke from the pack and blow a cloud above my head, so tomorrow it rains and I can stay in bed. His poems are all brief and sort of epigrammatic, and they have kind of a punchline to them. So I'm going to read about 4 more short poems by him, and then a couple that I wrote.
Oh.
I'll do 8. The Steps at Araceli. Araceli is a church near the Campidoglio in the center of Rome, a big staircase leading up. 100 steps on every side, a shower of starlings, my heart lodged in my throat, and I've landed in heaven. I buy some flowers so I don't show up empty-handed. Heads or tails? In Italian, they say testo croce, head or crosses. heads or tails? Tossed way too high, the moon got lost, glued to the pitch black breast of night, a sleight of hand. You'll never know if it was heads or tails now. I built a wall. It's my fault. Stone by stone by stone, I built a wall, walled myself off from the world. No way out now. Even if I wanted to feel your hand, one step and I'd crack my head on that wall. He also translated from ancient Latin poets like Martial and Catullus. And so this is my American translation of his Romanesco translation of ancient Latin, Martial 23. You fresh like a hog, loud, face smeared in fancy sauces, yet you have the chutzpah to insult and gorge. Moish, it's bad karma to be both gluttonous and proud. A little bit of Yiddish. Now I'm going to read a couple of poems from my second book, Still Life with City, which is all about New York, and then the second part is all about Italy. And the first poem I'm going to read is called From a Greyhound, which is kind of a reminiscence of my coming to New York when I was about 19 years old. From a Greyhound. Those jagged shapes drew pictures on the sky, fabulous fictions, bridges, skyscrapers, toy building blocks arranged by alien hands, a city of ants far off in the distance. The Greyhound ducked and swerved the Jersey swamps until we left the last grasslands behind and entered Dis, a hell of factories, smokestacks angry as fire-breathing dragons roaring their poison clouds into the blue. The heart beat nervous in anticipation of coming attractions, airless tunnels to be waded through, sheer ton walls of quartz and glass erected on the other shore like some faint futuristic Camelot. We'd be there soon enough. My Walkman hissed its hopeful noise into my ears. A convoy of seagulls descended my window. I thought I could make out the curlicues of roller coaster track and water slide lost in the clockwork mists of static time. The skyline was part dollhouse, part mirage. The singer wailed his smoked herring voice, consciousness exploding as I stared outside. Suddenly the city sprang up like a playful tiger, towering above on all sides. Yellow taxicabs sped by.